from a book called Desperado that we put together up in New Mexico. I had got to be friends with a bull rider that married my cousin, Ronnie Rossen. They called him Punch because he could throw and take on it. He was a great one. He was two-time world champion in 1961, 1966. He liked to drink. I asked him one time, did you ever, was you ever drunk? You got on the bull? He said, you'd have to be a fool to get on the bull sober. And I've seen him take a shot before he got on, but he wasn't drunk. He always liked his whiskey. This is a true story that Ron told me. There were frequent occasions when the cowboy friend was passing through his Montana ranch on his way to somewhere else. His friend, George Chapman, had been dealing cards at Benny Benion's Golden Horseshoe in Las Vegas. Benny Benion was the owner of the Golden Horseshoe and had a big ranch up in Montana. And he wouldn't allow anybody to have any motorized vehicles on the place. It kind of adds to the story. It was mid-April and Chapman had agreed to help Kev out 1,100 acres on Benion's Montana ranch. Rossen suspected he was getting caught up in something he knew he should avoid, but Chapman insisted they needed the help. So Rossen told him he couldn't be gone more than a week or 10 days. He insisted on driving his own pickup to be sure he got back. And here's Rossen telling the story. Benion didn't believe in using machinery on his ranch, all horse or mule driven. And he didn't believe in drinking. And it was cold. We had a whole section of pasture to do the calving in. It was miserable. Nothing but broncs to ride. There was 6 of us in the bunkhouse one night. We decided to go to Jordan. We decided to go to Jordan and go to the bar and have a drink. Thought we'd sneak one by him, but you can't slip nothing by that man. So we goes to town, gets pretty soused up. We were back in the ranch fixing breakfast at daylight. Then he walks in and he says, "Oh, I caught you, didn't I?" "What are you talking about?" I says. "Y'all went to town, you got drunk, and you all got hangovers." "Yeah, we did," I said. "We all went to town and we got drunk, by God." "Well," he said, "as soon as you get through with breakfast, you're all fired." Well, he turned his back. "Okay," I said. He turned his back and walked out. "Okay," I said. Come back 5 minutes later and he said, "I guess I fired y'all, didn't I?" "Yeah, you sure did, Mid." "Well, I hired you back. There ain't nobody here to work. Get breakfast and get out there. Get after them cows." The cowboys stayed till the job was finished and the heifers had all their calves. And it was the only time Rossen said that cowboys drank at Benion's ranch without getting fired. I'm going to do one more. My mother grew up on a homestead outside of Clarendon, Texas. And my grandpa was a homesteader on both sides. Poor people. Hard to think right now. Grandpa, his dad got 640 acres free. All he had to do was walk from Sedalia, Missouri to Panhandle, Texas. But sometimes that 640 acres wasn't quite enough. This is some people always, they gripe about the government. I love the government. The government's the only people that would ever give poor people free land. You think a rich man would give somebody some free land? Hell no. This is a story about the Christmas in 1935. Hard times in the Panhandle, dust blowing. This was the 1935 Great Depression wheat check story. Rex was an overall cowboy booted, cold Panhandle, Texas blue northern kid wondering if there'd be any money for Christmas. Constant topic for a month or more. Grandpa chewed and spit tobacco and worried and rode the half mile to the mailbox, and Thanksgiving's promise turned to a bleak December. Didn't get the wheat check, Dad muttered. Andy leaned his rubber-tired woven seat wooden chair against the kitchen door. Wheat check didn't come. He folded his hands and closed his eyes and slept after dinner was done. And the next morning he rode the old red horse bareback into the mailbox. He was shivering in the frozen wind. The Panhandle, my mother said, made her feel there wasn't nothing between her and the North Pole but a barbed wire fence. Mailman rolled up, sliding on the ice, his truck solid and warm, the rubber tires clinging to the chains. I got a letter for you, Mr. Schaefer. It says from the government. It looks to be a check inside. He held a long white envelope. Maybe a week ago, I bet I got 50 more just like it. And he nodded toward the wooden tomato box filled with mail the last day of Christmas cards. He raced the motor and truck crawled through the deep snow and the dirt lane. December 23rd, 1935. Ed Schaefer galloped back to the house, his red hair poked under a cowboy Stetson hat, slapping his hand against the red stallion's neck, riding like the cowboy he was, happy for the money for Christmas, money for a toy for the 6 kids, money for flour and beans, and money for cornmeal for Aunt Hattie's Christmas dressing, money for some nuts and oranges and a box of ribbon candy for the nieces and nephews, money for a wagon for the boys and a doll each for the girls. And Rex remembered that money was a lot. Nearly $80, he remembered. Him and Tony, my mother, waited at the yard gate. It was nearly dark when they saw the old Chevrolet come bouncing loaded to the fenders with Pampa plenty. Boxes were tied to the fenders. More boxes carefully secured to the top, and the turtle was open and full to where it was too tied. Oh, my mother and Rex always remembered how the government wheat program saved their hope, saved their lives, saved their Christmas. Thank you.